my god, is that David?
Hello babies and welcome back to my channel. I'm David, you're David, we're all David, you get it. Thanks for coming back. You've been here before, but if not, welcome to Dismantling Hate, my series here on YouTube where we look at some alt-right, homophobia, transphobia, xenophobia, racism, fatphobia, all of the things that you can find that are discriminatory online, and unfortunately there is no shortage of these things to be found. You have landed yourself on episode, that's how many bottles, I say 23. 23. Now today we're going to be reacting to, what is this even called? I haven't. Now this is really exciting because this is the first piece of content that somebody has sent to me because they found it and they thought it was particularly heinous. So if you find something out in the wild that you would like me to react to, please send it to me. My email will be down in the description box, but it's david.they.booking@gmail.com. So if you find something, you can upload it to your Google Drive, share it with me, and there's a chance that I'll put it in a video. So yeah, very excited. Okay, so today we're going to be reacting to the Sky News Australia, and the title is called Lefties Losing It. New pronouns your non-binary cousin hasn't heard of. Well, I can't wait for this because I am America's non-binary cousin, that is me. So yeah, it's a 25-minute video. We're gonna watch it here together. I'm gonna pause the least amount possible. Before we get started, please do not send hate to any of the individuals that you can find in these reaction videos. We don't know them, we don't necessarily care about them. They serve as a greater purpose and to start a bigger conversation that I'm interested in having here on my channel. So if you disagree with me, if you agree with me, let me know in the comments. I love interacting with most of you down in the comments, so feel free to do that. I'm gonna paint my face here while we get ourselves together in this 25-minute video. I'm gonna do a nice little look, nice and simple, not too draggy, you know, just something subtle to run to the grocery store with. So yeah, let's get into it. Lefties losing it. Hi, it's me. I'm a lefty. Am I about to lose it? That is to say too, like if you're a lefty and you feel like you're gonna lose it, like I get it. It's really hard to stay composed in the face of discrimination. But like if you lose it, or if you resort to ad hominem, or like if you attack somebody's character and be like, well, you're fat and ugly, that's not part of the conversation you're trying to have. So if you feel yourself getting there and you're going to fly off the handle or lose it, quote unquote, it's hard. Sometimes it's really hard to take yourself out of those situations, but you really have to. You really have to, because then what happens is that lunatics like this can make a montage of lefties losing it, and then your grandma who only goes on Facebook sees this montage and be like, wow, all the lefties are crazy. I better vote conservative so nobody has reproduction rights. You know, it's a very slippery slope here. And of course, I'm not implying that you losing it is the reason why reproductive rights are under fire pretty much everywhere, but I am saying that it can contribute to it, in my opinion. All right, that's enough for me. I'm gonna start painting. Can't wait.
It's time for Lefties Losing It. You know, nothing makes me happier than when new pronouns drop, new ways to mangle the English language and beclown yourself. So strap yourselves in for this pronoun extravaganza. I can guarantee even your non-binary greenhead cousin from Seattle hasn't heard some of these.
So this is a video for neopronoun users to duet. Or if you're considering neopronouns for yourself, maybe even try a blind react. However, safety first. Before you do either of those things, make sure you're in a mental state where if you do get misgendered, you will be okay. All right, are you ready? Let's get started. Do you see this person next to me? He is my friend. C has had to put up with a lot to get to where Per is today. I just want to let Glint know that Thon is valid, that Ver pronouns are valid, and that Sarah identity is valid. I wish Void all the best, and look forward to maybe even seeing some of their lovely content someday. Please, treat them with respect, and I'm sure A will respect you too. So how did that feel? Are there any neopronouns that stuck out to you that you might want to use for yourself?
Okay, before I let whoever respond to this, I want to respond to this first because this is my channel. I don't see a problem with this. I literally do not see a problem with this. Did I hear any pronouns there that I would consider using or be interested in using? No. If it doesn't matter to you, like, why do you care if it doesn't matter to you? It's so early. I've had like one sip of coffee. That's why I feel a little bit like an idiot right now. Like, okay, neopronouns. I've said this all the time on my channel. Do you need to identify and understand something in order to have respect for it? No. And they said, this person in the beginning of this video said that you need to get yourself to a spot that if somebody uses the wrong neopronoun or wrong pronoun for you, that you need to be in a spot where you would be okay. And I think that's an important part of the conversation as well. Because if my pronouns, especially where we are right now in our world, if my pronouns do not align with what people perceive me as, I will be misgendered a lot. And that does happen to me. My pronouns are they, them. I'm just another blue-haired barista from Seattle who hasn't heard of these pronouns. So the lefties, she was, anyway, oh my God. I haven't even started painting. I get misgendered all the time and I'm not necessarily okay with that, but it's hard because so much of the way that we view gender is cultural and the way that we use language is also cultural. So this person starting this conversation about neopronouns, I don't necessarily see it as that bad of a thing. In fact, I don't see it as bad at all. Like, English is just a made up language. Like, these people just made up English. Do we not know that? Everything is just made up. So at the end of the day, why can't this just be another person making things up? If it helps somebody feel more at home in their body, if it helps somebody feel more comfortable, why do you care? And that's how David sees it. Oh my God, I flew that.
At the beginning of
And
last
there's an
year,
ad?
How did that feel? I don't know. I feel like I lost 20 IQ points. That's how I feel. And while we are losing IQ points at a rapid rate, let's check in with the Veep. Take it away, Kamala.
Fortunate and blessed to, during the course of being vice president, have many situations where it becomes clear to me that there are, people of every age and gender, by the way, who see something about being the first that lets them know they don't need to be limited by other people's limited understanding of who can do what.
Yes, that was profound. Now to a pampered little princess who has clearly been indulged by her supportive parents.
Is she not actually going to make a comment, or is she just showcasing these things that she sees as ridiculous? Because I don't even understand. Like the Kamala Harris, we need you to be Mamala of our country. Have you seen that, the Drew Barrymore interview? I have no opinions on it, but I think it's hilarious.
We need you to be Mamala of the country.
We need you to be Mamala of our country. And then you think you fell out of a coconut tree?
You think you just fell out of a coconut tree? You exist in the context of all in which you live and what came before you.
You exist in the context of all that has come before. Anyway, you don't have an opinion on this? Tell me what you think. Or you're just gonna showcase these people you think are Looney Tunes and just have the people do your work for you? This is on the news? You're kidding.
This mad rant about the perils of having a mum and dad who love and care enough to be there at all your events, all the boring dance recitals and sporting events. Apparently that's tantamount to abuse.
Am I the only one whose narcissistic parent would show up to every single event I was ever involved in? This is one of those weird ones where I always felt like speaking about this behavior negatively could be perceived in the wrong way, like my parent was just being supportive, and how lucky was I to have a parent who always showed up. Boo-hoo, your parent was there for you. But did you also feel like sometimes it was a bit excessive, especially if it was a bit more of a repetitive thing where maybe I was doing the same thing on multiple days in a row? Like, you do not have to attend every one. And what makes this lean more towards the negative, in my opinion, in terms of behavior, is that if I ever didn't want them to show up to every single showing of something, that was considered to be disrespectful. It was very much that taking me out of school for lunch, sort of picking me up and dropping me off everywhere I went energy, where on the surface it seems very convenient, very thoughtful even, but it's a pattern of controlling behavior, I think, for narcissistic parents.
Could you be, I don't know, less ungrateful? I don't know.
Interesting. I bet you that's the end of her comment here. She's not even going to say anything more. I think, okay, so I do understand where both of these individuals are coming from. I think the term narcissism is thrown around a little bit too much these days, but it's not like I'm framing this in the way of like, oh, all those lefties think everybody is a narcissist. Like, people can show narcissistic tendencies. Like, people can have narcissistic character traits and not be a narcissist. Like, there's a difference there. And I do see how a parent being there all the time could be overwhelming / annoying / control. Like, that could be the reality for this person. So it doesn't even, I don't understand why this person pulled this. It's just, as Candace Owens would say, this is just a smear campaign to show that lefties are like ungrateful and blah, blah, blah. It's weird. What's the like, you grew up in the context of all that came before you. What is it about today? I have 0 blood cells. Nope, brain cells. Proves my point. Next.
Let's go to
Oh my God, 333 angel numbers. That's a good sign. Soak it in. Okay.
lefty losing it, pushing demented fantasist tales of what life would be like under a second Trump term. This is 85-year-old Californian Congresswoman Maxine Waters.
Man who we better be careful about, and I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to ask the Justice Department and I'm going to ask the President to tell us what they're going to do to protect this country against violence if he loses. I want to know about all of those right-wing organizations that he's connected with who are training up in the hills somewhere and targeting, what communities they're going to attack.
Training up in the hills. Yes, those right-wing organizations.
Girl, did you not see January 6th? Literally, the woman that she cut to in the video was saying, if this person loses, how are we not going to have, how are you preparing to not have a round 2 of a really bad day in history in the United States? How is that a lefty losing it? Also, none of these people are losing it. They're staying maintained. Good job, lefties. Yeah, I'm going to go in with color. Pretty much all my brushes are dirty, so none of them are even here. But I'm going to make it work, because I'm what? A professional.
Weapon-grade chutzpah there is something to be...
Chutzpah. Love that.
Not only is she obviously lying about Trump and his supporters, but does she think we've forgotten what she said even after the BLM Antifa riots raged across America, causing around $2 billion in damage, leaving more than 20 people dead, many more seriously injured? Even after all that, Maxine told them to stay on the streets and fight if Derek Chauvin was not convicted of murder.
Okay, so there's a whole lot of context here that I'm not educated enough on to speak about, but this strikes me as very similar to Candace Owens. From what I've heard from Candace Owens, this sounds similar to her. So we'll just move on.
We've got to not only stay in the street, but we've got to fight for justice. But I am very hopeful, and I hope that we're going to get a verdict that is saying guilty, guilty, guilty. And if we don't, we cannot go away.
And that's not the worst of it. This is Democrat Congresswoman Maxine Waters back in 2018 encouraging mobs to attack Trump's cabinet members wherever they found them.
Let's make sure we show up wherever we have to show up. And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
And it's worth reminding folks of the ugly violence we saw in DC and elsewhere during Trump's inauguration, let alone his reign. It seems this has all been memory hold.
The anger reaching a boiling point in the nation's capital after President Trump took the oath of office. Police in riot gear facing off against the protesters just 6 blocks from the inaugural parade. Unleashing pepper spray, concussion grenades.
How is that person in the TikTok talking about neo-pronouns the same as Marjorie Taylor Greene allegedly promoting violence against the Trump cabinet? You know what it is? You know what we call that? We call that a reach. Because the lefties losing it gets views, I guess. I mean, here I am too, watching.
To disperse the crowd. They've been using pepper spray out of canisters. Then 3 vehicles set on fire. 2 vehicles have been ignited. The fire folks have just moved in. Many of the protesters cloaked in black with their faces covered. The protesters had filled the street with several trash cans, and now police and fire are trying to move them out of the way. Earlier in the day, self-proclaimed anarchists smashed Washington storefronts with hammers.
One of the cars they lit on fire was a limo. Remember that? Owned by a migrant small business owner who was in it at the time. He's lucky to be alive. And you'll see from this next video why for the 2020 election, shop windows were boarded up in DC, New York City, many other blue cities. They weren't scared about a Trump win. They were boarded up to protect them in case he won. They were boarded up to protect them from Democrats who behaved like this when Trump won the first time.
Like, I'm not saying that violence is okay, but straight up, I'm not American, I'm Canadian. I remember crying when Trump was elected. I do. I remember that very well. And I might just be another lefty losing it. Like, I'm not saying that violence is okay, but I get it. I get it. I get it.
avoided this for as long as I can, but we have to feature this. It's Hollywood has-been Mark Hamill and Corinne Jean-Pierre. I apologize in advance.
There's no introduction that really is needed here. I have a special guest, as you can see. Mark Hamill has decided to join us on this wonderful Friday, and I am really excited to turn it over to Mr. Hamill.
I don't know who that is. Do y'all know who that is? I don't know who that is.
How many of you had Mark Hamill lead the press briefing on your bingo card? Hands? Well, I called him Mr. President. He said, you can call me Joe. And I said, can I call you Joe B1 Kenobi?
Time to check in on Vice President Kamala Harris, or should that be Mamala?
It should be Mamala. That is exactly right. We need you to be Mamala of our country.
We need you to be Mamala of the country.
Is asked about Hamas and a ceasefire deal, but her response is shrimp and grits. I wish I was kidding.
Sorry, what?
Madam Vice President, Hamas has accepted a ceasefire deal. Hamas has accepted a ceasefire deal. Your reaction?
What are your thoughts on Hamas accepting a ceasefire deal?
She said shrimp and grits.
Because Mamala was leaving a restaurant, and she doesn't have to answer whoever that is showing up outside of a restaurant asking her questions that she shouldn't give an answer about real and important things as she's walking out of a restaurant to paparazzi. That's not how that works. She said shrimp and grits because the joke was that she was making the joke that she asked what she had for dinner instead of that actual important question that they were asking. That doesn't mean anything.
To know shrimp and grits, that's full quote there. Wow. Now to another Democrat woman doing the sisterhood proud. I'm just kidding. It's another embarrassing lefty losing it. Take it away, New York Governor Kathy Hochul, with this wildly racist comment.
Young black kids growing up in the Bronx who don't even know what the word a computer is. They don't know. They don't know these things. And I want the world open up to all of them, because when you have their diverse voices innovating solutions.
She thinks kids in the Bronx don't know what a computer is.
Yeah, okay, that I can see how that's problematic and kind of weird. There's lots of kids who don't know what a computer is because of poverty is kind of the vibe that she's going with here. But also saying that did she say all black kids? I think she said that. That's not appropriate. Because poverty, there are, if we look at the data, the poverty rates among people of different cultures and races is definitely, it's not like that is non-existent, but there are also kids of every color who don't have access to computers. So that would fall under the category of a sweeping generalization, I do believe.
Been to the Bronx? Talk about the bigotry of low expectations. Gross. But of course, it's not just the Democrat women disgracing the party. The fish rots from the head, and President Biden and his weakness on pretty much...
Does the fish rot from the head? I understand the sentiment, but is that actually true in literal terms? I don't know.
Everything from foreign policy to protecting America's borders is the main issue facing America, and who better to sum up what is happening there than Senator John Kennedy from the great state of Louisiana.
Biden, with respect, he is old. He is...
Wait. This is the guy that said in response to defund the police, he was like, all right, well, next time you need help, call a crackhead. Isn't that this guy? I'm almost positive that's this guy.
The next time you get in trouble, call a crackhead.
I love that video, not because of literal terms. It's so bad in literal terms, but it's hilarious. Maybe it's going to be a reaction to him.
He knows he has to have the Hamas wing of the Democratic Party to be reelected. He's scared, as my dad used to say. He's nervous as a pregnant nun.
Succinct and accurate. Before we bring you some local lefties losing it from right here in Melbourne, let's see how our favourite trans activist Jeffrey Marsh is doing.
Oh, I don't know who that is. Oh, I do know who this is. Okay.
So much joy, so much trans joy. To Melbourne now, and the hostility Jewish...
They literally didn't even show anything about that person. They just were like, yeah, here's a video of them dancing. Isn't that awful? I hate people.
...are facing on college campuses. Watch this young man at Monash University, draped in the Israeli flag, sitting still on the ground, not saying a word, while lefty banshees have meltdowns all around him. He reportedly sat there for 2 hours, suffering all sorts of verbal abuse from the love and tolerance mob.
And that's what we're doing right now. This man needs to leave immediately. I give people every time you try to show your face.
Like, I get it. Except I don't. Like, I understand free speech and that, and it's not even speech like this man sitting here with the Israeli flag. Like, I get it, especially if that man is Israeli. Like, of course, that's making a big assumption that I don't know. But at the end of the day, there's one side of the equation that is perpetuating a genocide. And that's kind of period. It's in fact, it's not kind of period, it's period. While I don't know necessarily if you should be required to feel shame if you are Israeli, for example, I don't know. That's an interesting conversation because this living, breathing human being right here deserves to feel safe. But it's also like, what are they perpetuating? What's the statement with that flag? Do they know what's going on? Ultimately, we need to be on the human side of things, and the things that are happening, the genocide that is taking place, we need to be on the human side. And there's very clearly one of these sides who is on the human side and one of them who is not. I guess it wouldn't be appropriate if this was a rally for Palestine specifically, then this flag should not be there. Maybe that's what I'm thinking. The flag should be able to be flown because free speech, etc. But I don't think this flag should be at a rally for Palestine, you know? I wonder what she's gonna say.
It's only involving genocide supporters. We will be here. We will not leave.
Isn't it nice of them to hold their speaker right by his ear?
Yeah,
yes,
he's deaf now.
Charming lot. Now to another funny moment from the roast of Tom Brady. Of course, he wasn't the only one roasted. Watch as Andrew Schultz.
I actually watched this. It was pretty bad. Not in like, it was just not entertaining. Nikki Glaser was. Kim K kind of was. Not really. I'm more interested in women telling jokes. They're just usually funnier. But that's probably because I'm what? Just a lefty who's losing it. Hi.
After UFC boss Dana White.
For Dana. Dana's put more immigrants in cages than U.S. border policies.
Jesus.
Dana is a skinhead genius. He found a way for minorities to beat each other up.
Isn't it great to see something actually funny and non-woke on Netflix? More please. And while we are enjoying satire, let's have a look at the work of this.
How is that funny though? I don't get it because I also don't understand the context.
Of all in which you live and what came before you.
What has come before me? Like, I don't understand the context of that joke, so that may very well be funny. But I just don't get it. And I don't see how making a joke about immigrants is really funny. Like, there's so much other content out in the world to do the little twisteroo with to make something funny. Like, it's, what is that, punching down? That's punching down, yeah.
Mick Lyle Culpepper mocking the college campus soy boys.
As you know, most of the encampments at UCLA have been torn down. There are still some survivors, and we desperately need humanitarian aid. We need water bottles. We need vegan food. We need gluten-free bagels. We need banana-free bananas, if you have them. Stop it. Stop. We need first aid kits. If anybody has enriched uranium, that would be super helpful.
Okay, so this already, I thought it was going to be real, and I was like, come on now, gluten-free bagels. But as soon as he said, look at me being lefty and inclusive. As soon as they said that they needed banana-free bananas, that I'm like, all right, this is satire. And then enriched uranium. This is satire. This isn't real.
Or weapons-grade plutonium. We have a free-range rocket launcher. We need a rocket launcher. If anybody has those old SS uniforms from the 40s, we need those. We need wheelchair-accessible paragliders for some of our disabled comrades. Oh, guard towers. We need guard towers. If anyone's been to Poland and they can get their hands on some guard towers.
Really hope he got his hands on some of those banana-free bananas. Now, regular viewers would know I love the great state of Florida, and when I see videos like this, I like it even more. The police down there in Florida have started doing some post-arrest content.
No.
And it's as good as you can imagine. Here is the sheriff from Polk County.
So we extracted him from the vehicle. He's not a sovereign citizen, but he's from New York. And that's what he told us. Florida law doesn't apply to me.
Yeah, if you know anything about that sovereign citizen nonsense, I'd encourage you to look it up. The basics, from what I understand, is that if people get pulled over or something, they're like, maybe they think it gives them like diplomatic immunity, being like, I'm a sovereign citizen, like I'm not a Canadian citizen, I'm sovereign, which means your laws don't apply to me or whatever. But how is it that you're grouping in? Usually this sovereign citizenry is these alt-right QAnon gun-toting, clean my barrel with liberal tears people. So it's interesting that she's potentially looping this person in with the woke lefties. I mean, maybe that's not what's happening, but it seems that's where we're heading.
I'm from New York. Well, he found out that Florida law does apply to him. He went to jail. He fooled around and found out, you know, FDFO.
Oh God, you know what? I'm always fooling around and finding out. Me when I fool around and find out.
You can also use other words if you want to.
He said it, okay.
So he's in jail for being stupid. So
well,
if there's those out there that think they don't have to comply with the law and don't have to listen to the lawful request of a law enforcement officer, you too will get a ride to the county jail.
Like, I get it, but unless she's about to do a major twist on this somehow, this is an example of a right-wing person. Like, if you have ever seen a leftist pull the sovereign citizen stuff, please tell me. I've never seen it. It very well could be possible. But I've seen a lot of that sovereign citizenry nonsense, and none of it has ever come from leftist people. I would assume that this person would be right-leaning. I might be wrong, and that's making a lot of assumptions, but that would be my guess.
FAFO lessons right there. Not to be outdone, St. Lucie County are also bringing us some 24-karat gold.
St. Lucie County Sheriff Keith Pearson, earlier today, Elijah thought he's going to drive through St. Lucie County in a stolen vehicle and get into a car crash, working closely with the Florida Highway Patrol, not only on the sea, but on land. Elijah's now in custody. Our message is this, to criminals.
Not in St. Lucie.
Not in St. Lucie, Elijah, not in St. Lucie, but the other counties will have to bring their A game to outdo Santa Rosa County. This is one of the best places on earth, the Florida Panhandle, and homemade invaders there are an endangered species.
His bond's $157,500, and I want to say, as to the person, we don't know which homeowner shot at him. I guess they think that they did something wrong, which they did not. If somebody's breaking in your house, you're more than welcome to shoot them in Santa Rosa County. We prefer that you do, actually. So whoever
we actually do prefer that you shoot them.
You're not in trouble, come see us. We have a gun safety class we put on every other Saturday, and if you take that, you'll shoot a lot better, and hopefully you'll save the taxpayers money.
Now, you can't explore the world.
This isn't even leftist anymore. This is righties losing it now. This is the righties losing it now. As a content creator, I spend a lot of time and energy coming up with like a cohesive video, or like not so much with these, but like my MLM video or like other things like that. I really try and like have this cohesive vision of what I'm bringing to the table, and this is not cohesive unless she's gonna do some crazy verbal diarrhea to make this all fit together.
Of lefties losing it without encountering dangerous levels of cringe. So keep that in mind as you watch this offering from Harvard medical students.
And my nose, but my nose ain't eating. Spaced repetition, give me something to believe in. Pass all my tests, but I just skim the reading. In the food chain, we're the ones that eat it. Harvard Med ain't no bottom feeder. MD stands for my demeanor. Ask permission before I ever greet you. Does it radiate? Does it come with strain? Scale 1 to 10, can you rate the pain? When I knock the door, you ask who is it? You can check my code, it'll spell my name.
Yeah, you're messing with some Harvard MDs. Found my best friends for life from this Harvard MD. Giving everything we got for this Harvard MD.
Now from the top, make it drop, come get your Harvard MD. You got your offer, now say yes to this Harvard MD. We're talking doc, that's a Harvard MD. You deserve the spot you got, future Harvard MD.
There's some dogs in this house, there's some dogs in this house.
Oh, that's fun.
Dogs in this house, there's some dogs.
I think what I took out of that is to never get sick and
How is that lefties though? Is it because they're doing fine arts and that gay stuff? Thought daughter on I have no gay son.
Gay son or thought daughter?
Thought daughter, I have no gay son.
Do you know that? Thought daughter on I have no gay son. It's weird. I just think everybody else has the same experience in pop culture that I do. Same with like, you think you fella? We need you to be mamala of our country.
We need you to be mamala of the country.
I'm obsessed with that. How do we know that they're leftists? How do we know that they're lefties? They're doctors. and they're making a music video. I love that. I really love that. It was choreographed pretty well. They had to like record that music and then like film it. Like that took a lot of effort, which I love. I would want to go to those doctors. I would. I wish my doctor was doing a music video when I arrived in his office. Or her. Nobody said it couldn't be a woman.
Medical students have also joined in this trend.
But isn't that exactly it? That's what it is. It's a trend. You kids in your social media. Is that what this is? Is that the vibe? Is it giving boomer? Love it.
You know, there are so many forms of bigotry, and you're probably guilty of all of them, particularly if you prefer to date people who are not morbidly obese.
To insist your preference is for people who aren't lazy sloth.
Stop it though, because fat people aren't inherently liberal. Do you know what I mean? This isn't lefties losing it. This is people complaining losing it. This is just people complaining. And you know what? That gets views. Oh, I hate that. Yeah, that's why you're here. That's literally why you're here, is because you're listening to what? Them complain, me complain, you're gonna complain in the comments. That's so sad. What the hell is our world?
Disgusting and unhealthy, meaning that means you prefer skinny people because all fat people are those other things. That's actually bigoted. That's actually
okay, so I have really succinct feelings on this, because if you didn't know, actually, hi, my name is David and I used to weigh 330 pounds and now I'm at about 180 something, 180 and change, if you will. And it's not that people aren't interested in, well, okay, you know what? Sometimes people aren't interested in you just because you're fat, and that's shitty, and I do think to some level that's discriminatory. Yes, I can get on board with that. However, a lot of it comes down to your lifestyle, right? My lifestyle when I weighed 330 pounds is so profoundly different than it is now. So it's not necessarily that people aren't interested in you because you are fat. I think a lot of times people aren't interested in you because your lifestyle and your habits are so different from yours. Yeah, my lifestyle was so different. I was living a sedentary lifestyle. And of course, not every person who weighs 330 pounds would be having a sedentary lifestyle like me at that time. But it's hard not to at that level of super morbidly obese. And yeah, like again, at the end of the day, I'm very come as you are. Like if you're a human being, it doesn't matter if you're 500, 600, 800, 1,000 pounds. You are good and you are valid in the way that you are as you stand right now. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't be looking to constantly improve yourself in whatever ways you see fit. That may not be losing weight, because for me, it all starts in the head. It's a mental journey for sure. People should be able to choose their partners based on the habits and the lifestyle that they have. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, but if you're traveling around looking at people and like catcalling fat people and telling them they're disgusting, or like the delivery really matters too, like it's being a good person to everybody as they are right now in this moment. I think that's what it comes down to. You have the right to not date anybody, but it's how you deliver that information that really makes a difference and could make you come off as fat phobic even if you aren't. Or maybe you can come off as not fat phobic even if you are. I have a lot of thoughts on this. I've watched a lot of fat acceptance content, and I've watched kind of the other side, like Michelle McDaniel and that. And my life has definitely changed for the better since losing over 100 pounds. Let me know if you're interested in me doing a video on specifically that. I would have a lot to say, and this isn't that. But I have a feeling I'm going to half agree with what this person is saying.
That one group is all the same because of how they look. Hope that makes sense. Have a good day.
Like, not everybody is the same based off of how they look. I understand what they're trying to convey there, but also, period, full stop, at the end of the day, if you weigh 300 pounds, most likely your habits are going to be consistent with other people who are 300 pounds. Like, I had friends who were similar to me and we had similar habits. And it's not, at the end, like, ultimately it's calories in versus calories out. It's being in a calorie deficit or a calorie surplus. And sure, there's extenuating circumstances, like PCOS is a big one. And like your thyroid and this, but I think a lot of people kind of weaponize that as an excuse for something. Because like Michelle McDaniel, for example, has PCOS and has lost weight as well. So it is possible. But as somebody who is a fully rounded addict, I'm constantly trying to quit smoking, it seems. I'm an addict to anything. Anything that gives me a dopamine hit, I'm interested, give me more. I'm also a big like sugar addict and coming off of like a sugar addiction as well. So sometimes your brain can trick you into thinking that, oh, I have PCOS, that doesn't mean I need to try, right? Or like, oh, my genetics are this way, that doesn't mean I need to try. Oh, my whole family is morbidly obese, that means I don't need to try. Like, you can take a little bit of that onus on yourself, because I think by taking back that power, you can give yourself a lot of power. Somebody give her a thesaurus.
Go add fatphobic to the list. Now let's see who the good people of Ireland have representing them at Eurovision. She calls herself Bambi Thug, and she thinks she's really quite special.
Do you know what makes me special? I'm a queer. And I'm a witch!
Whoa, Ireland, that's terrifying.
Like, show us some context. She exists in the context of all that has come before her. Yeah, it doesn't, like, okay, you can be a witch and you can be queer. What a sentence. But, like, no, that doesn't mean that all witches are that way or that all queer people are that way. And before you come for me, yeah, I do kind of believe in witches. I've seen some stuff.
But I'm intrigued. What else is Bambi Thug outspoken about other than being a non-binary witch? Well,
I said she. So sorry about that. Binary Bambi, non-binary Bambi, they them. Sorry them. Sorry you. I'm not binary. I should understand this, but I'm just wrecking the English language like this whoever yellow-suited woman said.
Being imbecilic, she's also a hypocrite because she's all about boycotting Israel, but decided not to boycott this year's Eurovision.
I thought she was going to say them caught. I thought she was going to make a joke on it being boy is binary. We need to them caught. That's funny. Kylie, write that down. That's hilarious. Anyway.
Over Israel's participation. Have a look.
So I stand with anyone doing the boycott. I think if I wasn't in the competition, I would also be boycotting. There are a lot of moving parts. And at the end of the day, without the group of us who is pro-Palestine, it is less competition for the other side to win, and it's less of solidarity there. Obviously, it's incredibly heavy.
Yes, I'm sure it's very heavy indeed. Now to the excesses of the trans agenda, and there are now books for toddlers explaining why their new baby brother or sister is really a they.
Is it a boy or a girl? It's a They by Lindsay Harriott. This book is all about welcoming a new baby into the family and not knowing how that baby will identify when they grow up. So we're not going to be assuming.
I love this. I love this idea so much of like having a child and not pushing the gender binary on them and assigning them they, them pronouns and then showing them the world and teaching them about masculinity and femininity and allowing them to choose the gender expression that makes the most sense and is the most comforting to them. I love this concept. However, I think it is a lot of pressure, and I don't know if it's necessarily appropriate in the context of all that has come before. No, in like, and I hate this. I hate feeling like I need to modify the way that I live my life for the oppressive structures that be, but I think you potentially might be setting up this child for a lot of discrimination and for a life that feels pretty difficult. Because at the end of the day, our world is built for the gender binary. So this kid is going to struggle at least for an amount of time at school without having a male or female marker, right? They're going to travel the world. They're going to move about the world having to educate people, which I don't know if that's appropriate. Do I love the concept? Do I think it would be really important? Do I think it would be amazing if our whole world ran like this? Then yes. But for one specific example, like, I don't know, maybe if you grew up in a community where everybody did this, but then that sounds kind of culty if I'm being honest. Like, I love this idea. I hate pushing the gender binary onto kids, but you're setting that kid up for a lot of difficulty before they even begin. Yeah, I don't know. This is interesting, but like, I don't think the book is that bad. I don't think the book is bad. I think the book is fine.
Their gender. It's really ideal for people who are practicing gender creative parenting and already have one child, and they're trying to sort of explain this concept.
But actually, I guess I talked about that in a really like false dichotomy way, right? you don't necessarily have to be like, you're not a boy, you're a they, them. You could like explain like biological sex and be like, okay, so when you were born, you were a boy, and so far you've been using he, him pronouns, but like, here are the options, and here's what femininity looks like, and the cool part is that you get to choose. And this book could be a part of you telling that story and explaining the context of all that has come before you.
Before the new baby gets here, but it's also useful for any family.
Oh, look, I'm fascinated and horrified all at once, but I don't want to judge a book by its demented cover, so let's explore what's inside.
Well, they love to use he or she, or maybe they'll always be a they.
Yeah.
Our new baby wears cute little gym jams, pink and blue and green, bright in a rainbow of colors. They're ready to yawn and to dream. Our new baby gets lots of questions, like, are you a girl or a boy? We aren't sure of their gender yet, and they bring us so much joy.
Good Lord, but even this craziness isn't crazy enough for some. The book reviewer thinks this little book is too preoccupied with gender.
It is sort of designed for people who have a kid who does have a gender identity, like all this emphasis on the boy or girl or boy.
And saying like blue and pink is still participating in the gender binary. I totally know what they're saying.
Maybe actually reinforce this concept that a child would need to pick.
Yeah.
Now here's an important message for all those straight people.
Straight people are getting too comfortable. I said what I said. Some things are not yours to talk about, joke about, or say.
Like what?
And you should go back to being deathly afraid of offending people.
What?
Sorry, not afraid of offending people.
Yeah, we know.
Now, I think we all need a laugh, and comic Josh Ocean Thomas is just the man to provide it. Here he brutally mocks an audience member who admits to working for the Biden administration. Mistake.
What do you do for a living now? You work for the Biden administration. Is your job to wake them up, or what's your job? Hey! There's a war! Okay, what do you do for the Biden administration? What a show of a job you have. I can't believe you admitted that in front of all these people. You have the freedom to lie. You could have said you were a hooker and I would have been prouder of you. What do you do?
I travel to southern states.
You go to the South and try to sell them on Biden? You're fucking retarded. What the are you talking about? That's your job is to go, hey, listen, I know you guys like Trump, but Biden, I mean, wow. Are you ready to be unemployed, or what's your vibe?
Now let's hear from a pro-Palestinian journalist, Abby Martin, who went on Piers Morgan's show.
Oh, God.
And just spewed a lot of lies.
Like what?
To continue their ethnic cleansing of Gaza is frankly absurd, patently so considering what we've seen them do just in the last several weeks, Piers. Evidence of summary executions of doctors, evidence of mass graves, hundreds of bodies bound, dozens of men, women, and children bound, evidence, according to the UN, of Palestinians buried alive, using drones to lure out Palestinians with sounds of crying children so they could be shot and killed.
Oh my God.
She's describing Hamas there. Now, listen to Mossab Hassan Youssef tell Abby Martin precisely what he thinks of her and her journalism. This is the son of a Hamas founder, co-founder, and he has no time for lefty Karens losing it.
Can be a journalist and you call this a genocide, ethnic cleansing, and she just keep repeating ethnic cleansing, genocide, colonialism, etc. None of it is real, including Palestine. It's only in your head. None of it is existential. Palestine was never born. How can you free it? It was never there. It's just a colonial entity, and some people choose to make it into a national identity. And this parrot has been just repeated Hamas propaganda. Marwan Barghouti that she's talking about him, she never met him. I knew Marwan before he got to power. He's a criminal. He killed 5 people. He has blood on his hands. He cheated on his wife. He has a secret son that he never revealed it to the public. Of course, I can't criticize him, and I can't criticize all the criminals that I know personally. She's been there only for a visit, and maybe she had some falafel sandwich, you know, and she really was blown away of the Palestinian experience. There is no such a thing as Palestine. It's about time to retire, find a different job. You're not a journalist. You don't qualify even to be a mother.
Now let's go
Okay, so that's the ad hominem fallacy. We don't know anything about her mothering skills if she is a mother. So I think that's kind of gross. You can't really be doing that. Or rather, you can do that. It's just you're kind of not a good person, or you're full of logical fallacies. There it is. You're full of those. Yeah. There was a lot of red herring, right? Like, he has a son that he doesn't, blah, blah, blah. Like, what? Are you actually responding to what was just said? I don't think you were.
vintage Saturday Night Live when they were actually funny. Watch this superb sketch featuring a Trump impersonator and Trump himself playing the janitor.
You're a solid gold faucet.
Send them in. This place looks like the Liberace Museum.
Hey, I'm the prince of this city. When you're in my office, you treat me with respect.
Who did your decorating? Saddam Hussein?
I'll have you know this is all very classy stuff. And that painting of the tiger and the woman has got me laid on numerous occasions.
I didn't know gay dudes like tiger paintings.
Hey, you've crossed the line. I've killed people for less.
Looks like you killed a squirrel to me and put it right on top of your head.
You're one to talk. Your hair looks exactly like mine.
Yeah, except my hair's supposed to look like this. I'm a janitor.
Well... Oh, that's just the end. Hard stop. That's the end. Nothing else. All right, well, that's the end. Hard stop. There wasn't even... It's just basically a conglomeration so people can come together and hate watch, which is kind of what I was doing, so I don't know. I'm very mindful of how I'm engaging this content. I don't know how much hateful stuff I can take. Like, I filmed a lot of these videos. So far, right? And, like, I can feel it pulling just a little bit. Like, I don't know if I feel it pulling on my mental health, but like, it is sad. Like, a lot of this stuff is really heavy. So if you're binging a lot of these, perhaps, so if you're like binging these and watching a lot of them in a row, like, honestly, I really appreciate you doing that. Thank you for the support and I love it. But also maybe just take this moment to check in with yourself and be like, hey, how many have I watched of these in the last week? Like, it's okay to take a break from this stuff, and not even just like my content in particular, because like, take a look at your social media. Take a look at the kind of content that you're consuming on a regular basis. And a lot of it, if a lot of it is this like negative stuff, you can take a break. And you know what? It might even be a good thing for you to take a break from time to time. So just think of that, be mindful. You don't always have to engage with this kind of stuff because it can hurt your brain, Mary. But anyway, of course, that is just my 2 cents on the topic, so you don't have to take that from me, but I think it's worth something. But yeah, so thank you for watching episode 23 of Dismantling Hate here on my YouTube channel. Remember, do not go send any of these people hate. We may not have Michelle Obama's arms, but we do have her attitude, and when they go low, we go high. If you like the video, leave a like, comment, tell me what you think. Did you agree? Did you disagree? If you just love the sound of my voice, please consider subscribing. It really helps to support my channel, and I appreciate you so much for doing that. So thank you again for spending this time with me. I have the best time. I hope you did too. And until the next one, goodbye.
We need you to be Mamala of the country.
Call a crackhead.